a malevolent spirit that haunts its victims' families for decades after death. That's the subject of today's episode, which is inspired by a terrifying tale from Vietnamese folklore. Before we jump in, I just want to say thank you for being such an awesome audience. We've had so many new followers joining us over the past few weeks. And if you're watching this and you haven't already, please do hit subscribe and join our growing family. Also, if you're enjoying our stories, there are more ways than ever to find them now. We've got new links available below every episode to listen directly through our website or on your preferred podcast platform. So follow us there for even more easy listening options. And finally, don't forget that our full script archive is now live on a website. This lets you read any story anytime. It's all linked below. But for right now, let's dive into today's horror story, The Vengeful Spirit of the Hanged or Drowned. There was a chilling folktale that circulated among the rural villages of Vietnam, and it told the story of a vengeful spirit haunting those left behind by suicide. Now, the Vietnamese didn't have a word specifically for ghost, but they knew of May meaning ghosts, and had a distinct belief about what happened to the souls of those who ended their lives prematurely. In particular, when people took their own life by hanging themselves, the resulting moth at sea, or spirit of the hanged, were believed to be the most formidable. These spirits, bound by sorrow and regret until they found someone to take their place, would often linger in the same location, taking on an evil nature as they waited for their replacement. Those unlucky enough to cross paths with these malicious entities could expect anything from minor inconveniences to serious harm. But it wasn't only the hanged whose spirits caused such havoc. The Mae Chay Duki, or spirit of the drowned, also posed a significant threat. People who drowned accidentally would leave behind equally troublesome ghosts, forever tied to water and capable of manipulating it to cause misery for the living. The fear surrounding these ghosts stemmed from the belief that when a person died by suicide, their soul did not find peace in the afterlife. Instead, it became trapped between the living world and the next, unable to move on due to unfinished business or lingering attachments. This resulted in restless spirits that sought solace or revenge, preying on those closest to the deceased. Families were particularly vulnerable, with relatives often targeted by the very spirits they were trying to lay to rest. Spirits might choose to manifest at night, known as the time when the veil between worlds was thinnest, or they might linger near locations associated with the original tragedy, making regular appearances to torment the living. These encounters could take various forms. Some spirits were subtle, shaking beds or rustling curtains to make their presence known. Others were more menacing, interacting with the living, even communicating with them through whispers or apparitions. The intent behind these interactions varied. Sometimes the spirit simply wanted to be acknowledged. In other cases, it sought retribution for the suffering it endured during life, or demanded that its death be investigated or avenged. To protect themselves, people turned to rituals and offerings, hoping to appease the restless souls. Incense, candles, and food were common offerings, as were prayers and incantations meant to guide the spirit towards peace. However, appeasing one spirit might inadvertently invite others, creating a haunting legacy that trapped families in a cycle of fear and despair for generations. Now, let's get into our story. Our story starts with a young woman getting a phone call from an unknown withheld number. She answers, but there's only gentle breathing on the other end. Then she hears a whisper, "I'm still here." She hangs up, thinking it must be a prank call. Her friends joke that it's probably the ghost calling her, but she dismisses it, chalking it up to overactive imaginations. Later that night, as midnight approaches, she receives another call from the same number. Again, the line is silent except for breathing until a whisper breaks the quiet, "I'm still here." This time the ghost speaks a bit louder, sending chills down her spine. When the clock strikes 12, The whispering grows frantic. "I'm still here," it hisses, the voice now sharp and demanding attention. The woman screams, dropping the phone in terror as the voice continues to scream, "I'm still here," long after she's hung up. Shaken, she tries to distract herself, but sleep evades her. Suddenly, the phone beside her begins to glow ominously. Startled, she reaches out and the screen lights up, displaying the same withheld number. With trembling hands, she swipes to answer, bracing for another terrifying greeting. But this time, the call goes straight to voicemail. As dawn breaks, she finds herself inexplicably drawn to the phone. When it rings again, she hesitantly picks up. The caller ID shows the same number, but this time the voice on the other end is different, calmer and gentler. Startled, she asks who's calling, but the line is silent except for a soft sigh. As she listens, she hears a knock on her door. Confused, she ends the call and goes to check. But there's no one there. As days pass, the phone continues to ring with the same number, each call bringing a different voice that whispers, "I'm still here." Each voice carries a distinct emotion, some sad, some angry, but all filled with an unexplainable longing. Unable to cope, she seeks help from a local monk. He listens intently as she recounts her terrifying experience. After she finishes, the monk falls silent, lost in thought. Finally, he speaks. He tells her the calls she's been receiving are not from ghosts, but from spirits trapped between the living world and the afterlife. He explains that these spirits, unable to find peace, reach out to the living, hoping for connection or release. He assures her that while the spirits may seem frightening, they're ultimately lost and need help moving on. The monk guides her through a series of rituals and prayers, helping her communicate with the spirits. As she speaks with them, she learns their stories. One is a young woman who took her own life after a failed love affair. Another is a man who drowned trying to save his sister. With each conversation, the woman feels a sense of empathy and understanding grow. She realizes that these spirits are not malicious, just desperate for peace. The monk advises her to help them move on by performing acts of kindness in their honor. So she starts small, visiting the sites where the spirits died and leaving offerings of flowers and incense. She also begins volunteering at a local hospice, offering comfort to the dying and helping them come to terms with their own mortality. Through her actions, she becomes a conduit between the living and the dead, helping spirits find peace and the living find meaning in the face of death. Slowly, the phone calls become less frequent, but when they do occur, the voices are softer, more peaceful. Eventually, the calls stop altogether. One day, the woman receives a call from an unknown number. On the other end, she hears a gentle, "Thank you," and then the line goes dead. She understands that the spirits have finally moved on, and she feels a deep sense of peace knowing that she helped them find it. The story ends with her looking out over the horizon, ready to embrace whatever comes next, knowing that she's made a difference in the world. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and remember to subscribe for more amazing horror stories. Also, don't forget to check out our new podcast links below. Thank you for listening and happy haunting.